Hello, fellow mompreneurs. Welcome to the Real Moms Podcast, the go-to space for resilient entrepreneurs who are striving for abundant living. I'm your host, Shay Spitz, a mompreneur and a realtor here in Columbus, Nebraska. Are you a mom juggling the hustle of entrepreneurship, family life, and personal growth? Well, you're in the right place. On this podcast, we dive deep into the real, unfiltered stories of incredible women who are navigating the journey of mompreneurship. We'll celebrate the victories, share practical insights, and acknowledge that it's okay to face challenges along the way. Success isn't about the destination. It's about the journey and the growth we experience as we balance our careers and the chaos of family life. Whether you're a seasoned mompreneur or just starting on this exciting path, join me and our amazing guests as we explore what it truly means to be a resilient entrepreneur striving for abundant living. Get ready for real, raw, and remarkable conversations that will inspire and uplift you. Because here at the Real Moms Podcast, we believe in the power of community, authenticity, and the strength that comes from embracing the journey together. So grab your coffee, find a cozy spot, and let's dive into the world of mompreneurship. This is the Real Moms Podcast, where we celebrate the hustle, honor the struggle, and thrive as resilient entrepreneurs living abundantly. Welcome to another episode of Real Moms Podcast. I like to start every podcast off with a motivational quote, and today's quote is, "Change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change." So today, meet Rachel Adams-Lee. She is a small-town girl making moves, top 1,000 realtor in the U.S., multi-passionate entrepreneur, and a boy mama of 3. She runs multiple 6- and 7-figure companies with her hubby and lives life on their terms. She loves helping others tap into their true potential and build the business of their dreams. Facts. Positivity is her jam. You can find her snuggled on the couch in yoga pants, hair in a messy bun with her laptop. She is 5 feet tall, love all things social media, obsessed with having a healthy marriage, and thinks Nutella should be its own food group. Fun fact, she just lost 50 pounds postpartum. So how amazing is that? Well, Rachel, thank you so much for being on my podcast. Yeah, and obviously taking the time to be here as you obviously have a very busy lifestyle.
Yeah, life's a little bit bananas. I have the 3 kids. I have a 5, a 3, and a 2-year-old, all boys. Henry, Harrison, Hayden, and then I'm 19 weeks pregnant right now. So just doing it all, trying to figure it out one messy day at a time.
So are you guys going to find out what you're having on this one?
We are not actually. So my husband's wanted to wait every single time, and I'm always like a psycho, and I want to know at 7 weeks and plan the nursery and all that. But because it's our last one, and I'm pretty dang sure it's a boy, I'm like, it's fine. We'll just wait.
Yeah. Did you find out with the other ones then?
Oh yeah, every time immediately. Yeah. I
that's how
actually
I am.
I'm like very feminine, and so I always expected to have a daughter. And so every time that I found out it was a boy, I was like, "No." And then I'd go to Target and shop, and I'm like, okay, we're okay. We can do this. Like,
Yeah. Well, and then if you have the attitudes of girls, you're like, okay, I can do boys.
I know, I've heard that. I know. But let me tell you, my kids
I
bring some
know.
sass. I mean,
I
they're not all angels all the time. My middle one is like a psycho. Like, I just was like talking about it the other day. Like, I actually had like my hardest day in motherhood that I've ever had yet, just a couple days ago. And it was like, I feel like I would not consider myself a patient person. I think an entrepreneur, like I tend to just like, let's get stuff done and move on to the next. And kids have taught me a lot of patience because I want to raise good humans. So I want to be kind and gentle and not, like I was raised in a household where there was yelling. So it was really important to me to like not bring that into my home. And, all 3 of our kids are sick right now. So there's something going around California, Northern California. And so it was like everybody was sick, but my middle child just took every opportunity to like push a boundary, push a boundary, push a boundary. And then if I created 57 more boundaries, he would push all of them. It was like marker on the hands and the face, and then like spraying house cleaner that I'm like, how'd you even get in there? Like just, it was one thing after the next. And I just like, I literally put it out because I was like, I've heard, I was like, he's either going to be like the next world leader or he's going to be in jail. Like there is no middle ground for my middle child. And I just was so spent, and I like put it out on social, like how I was feeling. And I was like, I'm not going to say specifics because you guys are like judgy and I'm not going to go there. But like I don't know, I woke up the next morning to like over 90 comments of people just like empathizing and being like, you're not alone. And my middle child is now like, super successful and great with relationships. And so like, that I just love like the power of what social media can do. Cause like, obviously I build a business through it. We get like 100 referrals a year through social. And the relationships you can build is like the really special thing.
Right. You can kind of connect on more of a personal level when you share your personal experiences. And everybody, I always see people like, oh, there's something about that middle child, or like that second child. For me, it's my third. It is
Mm.
our third child. She is our youngest, the daughter, and I joke that she's going to be the death of me. Like
Yeah.
she is the second child for so many people, for me and my husband.
Mhm.
And it is a freaking battle. I mean, there was like years at daycare because she's 5 now that I don't know how they didn't kick us out. I think it
Yeah.
was because we were such understanding parents and like we're very firm. Like if I tell my daughter if you're going to be bad at daycare today, we're not going to go to the movies like we said we were going to, or we're
Yeah.
not going to go to the trampoline park the way we said, like the way we
Yeah.
planned. And there was one time where we had planned to go to the trampoline park. I'm like, okay, well, this isn't fair to my older two. So I brought all of them and I made my youngest sit outside watching the two older
Yeah.
ones jump on the trampoline,
Yeah.
because of her behavior at daycare. So it's
Yeah.
not easy. What is a piece of advice that you would give to somebody, a parent, when it comes to like parenting your kids or anything like that? Do you have any
I
tips
mean,
and
I would
tricks?
like the biggest thing I'm just realizing is to like grant myself grace. Like the reason that I was so upset and like, I mean, I was like beating myself up because I was like, I was not the mom I wanted to be today. Like my husband came home and I just was like, today was such a rough day.
Mhm.
And my husband and I work together. We run the real estate company and our coaching companies together. Um, but when he came home, I was just like, this was not like it was a really rough day. And it was like the reason that you are so upset is because you want to be a good parent and you love them so much, which that's what makes you a good parent is that you care. And so like I would just say like grant yourself grace, but also like don't be afraid to tell people that you're struggling because so many other people are struggling as well. And
Mhm.
I found so much like support and beauty in that thread. I mean, I told my husband, like, I'm saving this thread for the rest of my life. And on my rough days, I'm going to read it because there's so many people that struggle. And like,
Right.
for me, like I remember when I decided I was gonna like I started my business door knocking and doing open houses. Like, so I was like that quote that you read in the beginning, change the way you look at things and the things you look at change. That came about because I was working a full-time job and I was at a real estate office and I was unlicensed and I was just seeing all these agents' paychecks coming through and it was so much more money than I was making. And I was like, gosh, what if I just actually counted on me? And so the change the way you look at things is I was like, I know how much money is coming in, it's safe salary, but what if I change the way I look at things? What if I actually bet on me? I've never done that before. And so that's what led me to real estate. And like my first year was freaking brutal. I was like knocking 200 doors, doing 3 open houses every single week, knocking 200 doors, 3 open houses. I was in a super unhealthy marriage at that point in my life. And I cried myself to sleep like every night. Like it was a really dark season, but like I knew that life needed to change if I wanted a better quality of life. And so I bet on me and I didn't sell any homes for the first 4 months. And I'm knocking all those doors, doing all these open houses. I remember crying myself to sleep and being like, is this the right career? But like more than that, I I wanted I wanted more. I wanted like lightness. I wanted to feel joy. I wanted to be loved in my marriage. I was like, there has to be more out there. And um, so I just kept going and I memorized every script you could memorize. I got obsessed with objection handlers. And so like I wasn't selling houses, but I was doing the right thing over and over
Right.
and over. And I sold 39 houses my first year, and then
Yeah.
109 the second, and then 123 the third. And like I just remember like grinding so hard, working so hard. And I was like, and it was because I wanted to be a wife and a mom. It was like that was always it for me. Like that's always what I wanted. And I was like, I'm going to figure this out. And so I ended up getting a divorce. I spent 3 years like super digging into personal growth. And I was like, I want to be the best version of me. And it wasn't even like, let me be the best version of me so I can attract the right person, but
Yeah.
that's what happened. And I ended up like getting on Tinder and before it was, well, I guess it was a hookup site. That just wasn't, I was not what I was there for.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
and met my husband Ryan, and like every guy I dated before him was like, I want a strong, independent woman. And then they'd meet me, they're like, ooh, maybe not that
Too
strong.
strong.
couldn't. But he was like, I love what you're doing and how can we make it even better? Um, and so it was like for the first time in my life, I had like real partnership. And like, I mean, if you follow me, you'll know I'm like obsessed with him. Like he's the best human that's ever walked this earth. And I'm like so grateful that our kids get to have him as their example of like a man and how he is. But you know, my reason for getting into real estate and shifting to social media, really, like the big shift for me of like the knocking in open houses to social was like I wanted to be a mom, and I was like I want a lead generation lover that I can turn on when I want to work and like turn off when I don't. And like it's changed my entire life. Like I mean, I get to coach agents all around the country now on how to build a business. And most of the agents I teach are women that are moms because I'm like, let's figure out how to do this in a real way that works around like having sick kids. And, you know, and so it's like, I've created systems and structure around my business so that I can be a present mama, but also, you know, get 100 referrals a year through social. And like, it's crazy and beautiful and messy and like all the things. And we were texting this morning and you're like, are we still on? I was like, yes. And it's also going to be 7 a.m. Pacific time. So I'm not taking a shower, but I'll have dry shampoo in my hair and throw on makeup for you.
Hey, I dry shampooed and I throw on a little bit of makeup too. And I got actually sweatpants going on
Oh
down
yeah.
low. So
I like it. I like it. I know I seriously considered leaving on my pajama pants, but I was like, no, I'll put on yoga pants only because I have to go to the gym after this, and it's one less thing I have to do after the call.
right? Work smarter, not harder.
I
Well,
tell
and
you.
I really like how you were talking about how you put your time and effort into yourself, not to attract that right partner, which is what it came to. But I
Yeah.
really think that that's what I don't. And you did all the work prior to being a mom, but I think especially when people have kids at such a young age, you put all your time and energy into your kids, and you
Yeah.
kind of lose that identity as who you are instead
Yeah.
of just a person, or instead of just the mom. And you can lose that identity and I'm sure you probably feel that maybe a little bit, but you put in that work
I
prior to
did.
being that mom. You figured out
Yeah.
who you were, you figured out what you wanted. So for a lot of the listeners out there, they might be trying to combat both of them at the same time, which we'll always do. But I would say that like my personal journey really started within the last like 5 years. So
Hmm.
after I had my kids is really when my personal journey started. I got into real estate about 6.5 years ago, had my third kid a year after getting into real estate. And then after that is really when I started with my personal journey. You obviously had a setback for you at one point in time,
Yeah.
where, you know, we always do. I had mine about a year and a half ago. It was a mental breakdown. It was horrible. The worst and hardest thing I've ever been through. Don't know why. What felt like it lasted an eternity was about 4 to 6 weeks. But
Mm.
that's really what propelled me to getting to where I am at today. And I always say a setback is a setup for a comeback. And
Yeah.
it's not how long you stay down, or it's not about getting knocked down, it's how long you stay down. I remember my
Yeah.
coach said that to me when I was going through all of that. I was like, okay, all right, I got this, I got this. It was a horrible. I was like snot
Totally.
running out of my
Yeah.
nose, horrible. But yeah, so tell me a little bit about your journey. And so you were in real estate how long before you had kids?
So I got into real estate in 2012. I was 26 when I got into real estate, and I'm now I just turned 40 actually. So I'm a old mama. So I started late. Like I had kids at 35.
Okay.
Um and so I'd been in real estate. So my career was established when I got into real estate. And I remember like that I mean I always wanted to be a mom. Now I did not anticipate having the fertility struggles that we have had, so like we can't get pregnant and stay pregnant naturally. It doesn't work for us. So like we have three healthy kids, one in my belly, but we've had four losses in our journey. And so like as you can imagine, like all the ups and downs, right? And fertility drugs and all the things, which make me a crazy person. My poor husband, we like nicknamed my alter ego when I'm on fertility drugs Lizzie. Sorry if there's a Lizzie listener, but because I just like turn into a different person. Like I remember one time he was making scrambled eggs, and that's like the max my husband can cook. He's like a cereal and eggs guy. But God bless him. And he was like using a spatula, and I was like, "Why would you use that spatula?" And he's like, "What?" And like we have a really healthy marriage. Like we're buds. And I was just like, I saw red. I was enraged. Like, why would you use that spatula? And he's like, I don't know what's happening. Like, why are you so he's like, do you want me to use a different one? And I was like, I'm going outside. And it was like the weirdest thing. He's like, okay, like I'm gonna let you breathe. And then he came out and he's like, are you there? Like, who am I talking to? Um, but trying like choosing to have kids was like really important to us. And I remember like he said to me, he was like, so he calls my phone golden handcuffs. And he was like, you're always on your phone. And when we met, I was like, he was like, "Oh, you're on your phone a lot." I was like, "Yeah, I'm a realtor. It's what I do." And
Yeah.
he's like, "That's cute. Like, that's great." He's like, "But if we're gonna have a family, like we have to have some healthy boundaries around your phone." And like I ran the shots for years. I was doing real estate by myself. I was on magazine covers. I was like speaking all around the world. I'm like, no one told me what to do. And here I am with like this person who I love the most, who's like, "We're gonna have to change the way you do this."
Mhm.
And so we actually ended up going and getting some marriage coaching around my phone because I was having a really hard time with the boundary side of it. But
Interesting.
I want to share an example that really helped me because it might help you, your
Yeah.
listeners and as well. So I was like, so my businesses ran like primarily through social. I'd say like 90% of my businesses ran through social, right? Like all my companies. And so for me, I was like, so what happened was the reason the whole thing even started the conversation of like getting help was um, we went to a pumpkin patch and we got there and we, picked out our pumpkins and hung out with the kids and got back in the car and, got popcorn and all that got back in the car. And I was like, that was fun. And he goes, was it? And I was like, what? And he's like, was it fun, Rachel? And I was like, ew, why are you saying my name? Like
Yeah.
because he calls me babe. I'm like,
Uh-huh.
what's happening? And he was like, babe, you weren't there. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, you were on your phone the whole time. Like you were like getting your content, but then you were gone. And he was like, this doesn't work. And so we ended up, getting some help around it. And what happened was for me, I'm like, I make reasons why I have to be on my phone. I'm a realtor. People need me. I'm gonna miss a referral. Like we will make up whatever excuse we need to make up for our
Yep.
behavior.
Yep.
And so what happens now is because content is a part of my life and that's the reality of it, right? But
Mhm.
like just like a seller or a buyer, when I'm sitting down for a listing presentation, I'm going to tell them exactly what they can expect when they work with me. I set the expectation. So what it looks like now is we would go to that same pumpkin patch, and before we get there, I'm going to be in the car. I'm going to say, "Okay, kids, daddy, we're going to get there and we're going to take we're for 10 minutes, we're going to take photos and we're going to take some video
Mhm.
of our pumpkins." And they're like, okay. And so I set the expectation. Now I am recording and we're doing our photos, like we're getting it knocked out, right? But then
Right.
my phone goes away. People feel like they have to share their stories and they have to show what's happening in their life at that very
Yeah.
moment. What I realized is no one freaking needs to know what's happening at the time. Like it's you're in control of what you share and when you share it. And so I was like, so my phone goes away. And then when I'm ready for social at a later time that's now time blocked for in my world, um, I I will go on and I'll post my content. But what's funny is I like forgot about the pumpkin patch. I forgot that we went and I was just like on my merry way. And it's like the almost the end of October and I was like, oh shit, the pumpkin patch. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna post my story. So I post the word the pumpkin patch. And like this girl writes me, was like, oh my God, we just missed you. We just left. And I was like, dang it. Like, but it was just a good lesson for me of like,
Right.
like so and it really has changed a lot. Now we do still I really have to remind myself, like when I'm with my kids, it's so easy just to grab my phone and scroll. But if it's not going to build my business, and if
Right.
it's not in my time block time to be on my phone, I got to put it away because like I don't want my kids feeling like they have to compete for my phone. And so like I have an office, a home office, and a real estate office, and they know when mommy's in the office, like mommy's working. But I also really believe in having a transition before I come out to the kids where like if I'm on a phone call, even like if I'm in my car and I'm like my car is my call time, right? For all of us
Yeah.
realtors, I feel like that's where we get our
Yep.
stuff done.
Yep.
I will literally stop like a few minutes before I get home, pop on worship music and give myself a transition so that I can stop being like work mom and come home and be like mom, you know?
Right. Oh, that's a really good idea. I like that
Yeah.
idea. Because I do my like worship time in the morning. My goal this year was to read through the Bible. I've never read through the Bible. So every
Mhm.
morning I have the Bible app that I'm
Yeah.
actually working through with Tara Lee Cobble, I think is what it is. Absolutely amazing. So I'm super excited about that. But that's what I do in my morning time. But when your husband going back to when you guys were sitting in that vehicle and he said that to you, did you get defensive? Because I find
Yeah, for sure.
myself almost getting defensive sometimes, like, well, I
Yeah,
need to. Like, this is how we make money. This is how we're living
100%.
our lives. Like, do you
Yeah.
not want me to make money? You know, like, you
Oh,
almost,
for sure.
do you,
Well, and
okay.
it's like in my head, I'm like the things I say in my head versus what comes out of my mouth, I've really worked on because my husband is very sensitive and I never had like dated someone who like wanted to communicate so much and like really talk through feelings. And like, I mean, he can tell if my energy is off, if like, I mean, he is the one who makes sure that I have water, that I'm eating, like, cause I will just be in my office and freaking go. Like, that's just how I operate. Um, and so, yeah, I definitely got defensive, and that's what led us to realize we needed to have an outside person give us some support, which like I think therapy is very healthy. I mean, I had a really beautiful upbringing. My parents are still married. My dad calls my mom his bride. Like I had a really beautiful upbringing, and there's still like I had body image issues my whole life. And like, you know, it's like there's just struggles that we have as women that I think need to be addressed. And sometimes you need the outside person. And for my husband and I, like nothing, like they say like 90% of your happiness is determined by who you marry. And I think that is so incredibly true because I've been on the opposite side and I was miserable and I didn't care what I did during the day. Like I don't think I would have been as successful in real estate, honestly, as fast as I was if I had a healthy marriage because I was like running. I didn't want to be home. So I was like, I'll work early in the morning till late at night so I don't have to be there. Um, and then, you know, when we divorced, he was like, I get all your money. That was fun. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's this ride is a journey. Like real estate can be such a beautiful career and give you, like, for me, it's given me this platform to be able to do everything else I want to do in life. And like, you know, getting to coach other women that are in this business on like how to build a business that's sustainable, that works with their life of being a mama. Like my favorite. It's my favorite because like we have so much in common. And like we all want to be good moms, but also like it's a freaking mess some days and you're just like throw in the towel. Like I told my husband that day that like Harrison, our middle, was being like a nutball. I was like, I'm so glad that I can't drink right now because I'd be real drunk. Like this
Right.
day. I just want to erase this day. He's like, I'll drink for two, babe. I'm like, thanks, honey.
So sweet. So sweet. So
That's
happy you did
supportive.
that for me. Yeah. So what is when you guys were going through that? Because I also think that therapy is very healthy. I think that we don't, but we did do couples therapy for not for any particular reason, but I think just I don't know, like, okay, well, we could be stronger. We could be,
Totally.
build our
Which is
relationship.
great. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think people go to therapy when they have issues, when in reality, it is important to go to therapy prior to those issues because it's
Proactive.
kind of like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of like getting your oil changed. Like you don't wait to change your oil when you're having issues with the engine. No, you got to
Yeah.
keep up with changing the oil. But what is something that, because I think as an entrepreneur and a mompreneur, we all struggle with being on our phone. I think I've gotten better. If you ask my husband, maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's also a real estate agent, so when he gets busy, I think he realizes, oh my gosh, like I have to be on my phone more too.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit different between him and I know that I could even be busier in real estate. I know I can.
Mhm.
But what is something that you guys have found through that has worked with you and your phone and your home life?
So so actually it was like it happened recently, but so for some reason in my three previous pregnancies, I couldn't handle any like intense show. I could only have like Ted Lasso vibes. Like I needed light, sweet, happy shows.
Yeah.
And this pregnancy, I'm able to like for some reason handle a little more intense show. And so we had like 9 shows that we started to watch, and I was like, I can't do it. And so one of them was Yellowstone.
Yeah.
And so this pregnancy we're watching, we just finished Yellowstone, but we were on some streaming service that had commercials. So every commercial, I'd grab my phone. Every commercial, I got my phone. And there's a lot of commercials in those shows, you know.
Hmm.
And we hadn't had a therapy session in probably like I don't know 5 or 6 months because like we don't go unless like for us we don't usually go unless there's like something to discuss, you know. I love the proactiveness. Like we were proactive in our before we got married, like in a marriage retreat, like we did that. But I will say for us we usually go in there. Our marriage is like, I mean, we've been together a long time, so like we're pretty dialed.
Right.
And sometimes hiccups happen and we're like, let's get it addressed. Like we always say like so many people in their marriage, they just like sweep stuff under the rug. And then
Mhm.
by the time they lift up the rug, they're getting a divorce because there's just so much there. And so he's always like, babe, are we sweeping it under the rug? And so we, oh my God, I just lost my train of thought, girl. Pregnancy
No,
brain. I'm back. I'm
that's a
back.
real thing.
Like,
That is a
come on.
real thing. Um,
I
no,
know.
you were talking about Yellowstone and grabbing
Yeah.
your phone on
Okay.
commercials.
Thank you. So I'm glad one of us is listening.
I'm just surprised I did
You're
because I have
like, I'm
terrible
lucky
memory.
that I, you're like, I'm lucky I remember.
Yeah.
So we hadn't gone. So the fourth baby was a really big conversation for us, and I really wanted to have a fourth kid. We talked about just having three, and three was our number. And I actually had to talk him into the third because he was like good at two, which he's from a family of seven. So I always thought it was like weird that he like didn't want a bigger family,
Mhm.
but it's hard. Parenting is hard, and we want to be great parents, so we love them a lot. So we want to be all the things, like we want to give them all the life experiences and all of that, and so when so we got pregnant in June or we were pregnant, and then in June of 2023 I had to have I lost the baby and I had to have a DNC, but because of some like insurance issues in California it couldn't happen for 3 weeks. So the baby was gone and in me, and I couldn't get it out, and I got very, very sick, like really sick, like it was scary. And then I ended up getting the DNC. And then after the DNC, I got freaking sepsis because of what was going on inside me. So it was just like a horrible 2 months. I like disappeared off social. Everyone's like, literally, people are finding my mother's phone number and calling her and being like, is she okay? Because I'm like very visible on social. But I needed to be away from everybody. I was really grieving and it was really hard and I was really sick. And since that day though, I was like, I meant to have 4 kids because I was going to have 4 kids. We're like, what car are we going to drive? Where are we going to, like we were going to have 4 kids. And I would always tell my husband, like, my soul is not done. And he's like, that is so weird because my soul feels good.
Sounds like me and my husband.
Yeah. And so he was like, why don't you talk to someone? Like, I think you really need to process this divorce, this miscarriage. And so that's what led me going back to therapy because I hadn't been in like a few years, probably, I don't know, like 4 years or something.
Mhm.
And so that's what brought me back to therapy. And so she knew,
Oh, sorry.
she knew what was going on and stuff. And she would mostly talk to me, but every now and again, Ryan would come on and she would talk to us about everything. So we hadn't been to her in a long time. So this Yellowstone thing goes down. And Ryan's like, why don't we book a call with her? And I'm like, okay. And she's really good with couples and stuff. So, and she's telehealth too. So like it's just convenient. And so we get on the call and we're like talking to her, and she was like, we didn't, I mean, like the Yellowstone thing wasn't even like the plan to talk to her, but I was actually just going to talk to her myself about like where we were at because oh yeah, we got pregnant. So that's why we talked to her, because she was like reaching out to me, and she's like, hey, like, how is Ryan feeling about you being pregnant? How are you guys doing? And I was like, okay, well, let's have a conversation about it. And so that was like the original reason. And then when she was asking Ryan like how he's doing, somehow the Yellowstone thing came up.
Mhm.
And it was like that's what I like kind of love about therapy, is like the things just come up, like how you said, like you don't have to have a reason, but if you're just chatting, like little like this is bugging me or this is happening. And I don't know, therapists have a way of just like getting you to talk about stuff.
Yes.
And so he said that every commercial she pulls out her phone, and he was like, I would love to just like hold her hand and talk to her during the commercials. And like, how freaking blessed am I that I have a husband that just wants to like connect with me? And I was like, oh shoot, like, okay, so we're gonna do that. And I'm not kidding you, it was so hard. Like, because this is the most addicting thing. I don't have an addictive personality. Like, I'm not like,
Same.
like I know either none of my family does, but that cell phone, friend, like there is just such a pull to it. And so I remember I was like, okay, day 4, I can do it. Day 5, I can do it. Like, and it was like really, it was challenging. It really was. And I have to remember that nothing matters more than a healthy marriage. And like really, if your value proposition is clear, like people want to wait to work with me because I'm a damn good realtor, and I'm going to sell their house for the most money, and I'm going to get them the best deal on their home they're purchasing. Like, so I made all these reasons of like, oh, they're going to give the referral to someone else. And you know what? Sometimes I do lose the referral because I'm not on my phone 24/7, and I am, Pacific, and some people are East Coast, whatever. But like I found that the right people will wait.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
you have to know you're going to lose some business. But like when I first had kids, I remember that like my phone would ring and I have Henry and he's crying, and I run in the other end of the room, or under the house, not room, because I'm like, no one can know I have kids. I thought that they wouldn't take me seriously if they knew that I was like a new mom. Um, and now my phone rings and I'm like, hey, this is Rachel. You're going to hear my kid screaming. How can I
Yep.
help you?
Right. Exactly.
There's power in embracing it.
Yeah.
Like I literally talk about all the time. Like I literally in my my bio on Instagram, it says I'm a working mama because like that is who I am. I
Yes.
work, I'm a mom, but like that is my priority.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny that you brought that up because I wouldn't say that I was ever trying to avoid it, but there were times, many times, where I was like trying to run to another room and my kids are like banging on the door. I'm like, I'm so sorry. My kids are in the background. Like they just want to be by me, which is great. But like when you are doing business, it gets a little frustrating.
Yeah.
But after I had my youngest, we got home on a Saturday and I was showing homes on Monday. So 2 days. And she
Yeah.
was 3 day old little baby. But I remember walking around showing these people these homes, and I kind of knew them at the time. Obviously, I've got grown a lot closer to them, and I actually just recently resold that property here a couple months ago. And I remember nursing her, watching them walk around outside this house. They're like, "Hey, Shay, we really like this house. Let's go ahead and make an offer." And I'm like, "Great." Like, I got a little baby. She needs to nurse. So we go back to the office and she starts getting a little fussy. And I said, "I am so sorry." I said, I can either step away and go nurse for 15 minutes and then come back, or like I can nurse here and type up your offer. And the wife was like, "Oh, go ahead and nurse. It's not a big deal." And the husband was like, "Oh, yeah, that's fine." But I'll never
Totally.
forget that. Like, obviously, I mean, I was covered up, but I was nursing my youngest while typing up an offer with people right
That's
there.
like the
Like,
multitasking mama 101 right there. It's like, you know what I mean? It's so funny because like they say if you want to get something done, give it to someone busy. There's no
yes.
one
Oh my
busier than
gosh.
a mom. Like,
No.
you know, and like somehow we can hold a baby,
Mhm.
stir this, pour milk for our other kid. It's like, you know, but it is funny to me, like the difference because like when I'm leaving the home, so last night there was like an event that I went to, and I really encourage my husband to go out. Like I like him to go out and go golfing and like
Yeah.
do things for him. And then he said to me the other day, he's like, but when do you do things for you? And I realized like my do things for me is like I work. Now I am a coach, so I create courses and products. And for me, that is so fulfilling. Like I get jazzed doing that.
Yeah.
But I also have to remember that's still work. And
Mhm.
like everyone, like, you know, people ask me all the time, they're like, oh, what's self-care to you? And I'm like, oh, I go to the gym 3 days a week.
Yeah.
But I don't really think I guess that's self-care, but it's also part of I'm like a routine person and I'm regimented. So I get like my stuff done, right? Because
Mhm.
like I know I'm a better wife, a better mom, a better realtor, like all the things if I exercise. Like 3 days a week, I
Oh,
do.
very much so.
Do you have Orange Theory Fitness there?
No, I work out. No, I work out from home. I do
I-
pretty much every day. I might, take like do yoga or something. I try to go honestly 6 to 7 days. It's not
Okay.
hardcore, but I'm usually
Yeah.
doing beach body. We live in the country, so for me
Yeah.
to drive into town, it's
Doesn't
about
make
10.
sense.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we have a membership to the gym, but that's more
Yeah.
so for the kids to go and do fun
Have
activities.
like the
But
camp. Yeah. Yeah.
hmm
So yeah, so we do gym 3 days a week. It's called Orange Theory Fitness. I've been doing it for years. And like that, I'm like, oh, like that's my self-care. And it's like, no. And so like I do like, I don't know, every once in a blue moon, I'll like take a bath and like read a book. But when I'm reading the book, I'm thinking about five other things and I'm like, oh crap, what page was it on? Like,
right.
you know, so like I will say for me, like self-care is definitely something I have an opportunity for. And last night though, I was invited to a girls' night. And so I went and I'm like, I still feel like I should be I have to make sure dinner's ready for the kids and all these things. And like I just feel like I have to like have everything perfectly set in the home so I can leave so he's okay to like handle the kids and not get too frustrated and all that.
Mhm.
And yesterday was just a really, really busy work day. I was back to back and I'm working extra hard right now because I want to take 2 months off when the baby comes. And so I'm doing all my normal work plus 2 months prep to be ready with like YouTube videos and like all the things to have it out, you know?
Mhm.
And so I didn't do anything. I didn't get food ready. I didn't get anything ready for my kids. And I texted my husband and I'm like, how's it going? And he said, kids are fine. And I resisted I usually stalk on the camera and I watch the nanny, I watch everybody, you know,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
didn't. I just like tried to really be present at this girls' night. I did have to go in their kids' bedroom and do a request for a pair at one point for one of my agents, but that's life.
Right.
Um,
Yes.
but when I came home, like he was fine. The kids were fine. He fed them food. And like I think that because I'm such a control freak, I try to control everything. But what I've realized is like giving my husband some like room to be a dad and not control his whole situation. Like I'm like, oh, that's good. I actually didn't talk to him about that, but I want to like give him props when I see him after this because I'm like, he did great. And
Right.
you know, like I didn't plan it all and I didn't tell him what's for dinner and double check. And like, he's like, but he's been doing dad life for like 5 years. Like he knows what he's doing, you know?
Well, and I would say that that's been a big thing for my husband and I is that he's really stepped up in the dad world, because
Yeah.
and I have learned to let go of a lot of that control.
Yeah. Good
Probably
for you.
3 years ago. I would say about 3 years ago. Like, so where I used to make sure, like, if I was going to be gone, that, hey, my mom's going to be able to help if you're, if you get stressed or, we have this and this and this. And,
Yeah.
but now I'm to the point where if I'm going to be gone, I don't get, nope. Like you got this. And I know he
Yeah.
does. Like he does an amazing, amazing job. I know he probably gets stressed and frustrated, but I mean, if he can go away without worrying about the kids and where they're going and how I'm
I
taking
know.
care of them, then I should be able to too.
I
And
know.
honestly, it has been a game changer. Like I went on a girls trip, which we were supposed to go to Dallas, and then Dallas got 8 inches of snow. Us girls, it was the first time in 13 years we were going to go do anything, and we had it booked for 6 months. And our flights got canceled because there was 8 inches of snow in Dallas, but nothing here in Nebraska. But
Yeah.
anyway, but we still went out for the weekend, and I said, nope. He asked me, he's like, so when are you going to be home on Sunday? I said, when my flight comes in. We don't have a fight because I was like, no, this is my time. But
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't bother me. He didn't like I obviously touched base and,
Yeah.
checked in and stuff like that. But it's such a stress reliever when you can trust
Yeah.
your significant other and be able to leave and know, okay, they may not have I honestly he cooks and he cooks so much better than I do. So
Right.
yeah, that's been a game changer for me too.
Yeah.
Like that's
I'm
just like,
like,
oh.
yeah, no, that's not a part of our world. But I will say, like, I mean, I could do like I did last night where I'm like, okay, I can go out for a few hours. But when I leave town, I have around the clock, like not overnight, but I have like help because we have a nanny 7:30 to 4:30 Monday
Mhm.
through Friday. She just got here
Yep.
right now. And
Yep.
so like we have help. Like I think leverage is so incredibly important. Like we have someone who
Very.
cleans our house, we have a nanny, we like I have to have someone who can like just help me run my world so that I can do the things I'm good at. And I'm like, I'm totally at peace with the fact of like leveraging out my laundry. I'm like, those are the things that suck that I don't want to do. And I'm
Right.
like, I would rather spend more quality time with my kids, work a few extra hours, make more money so that I can have someone do my
Yes.
laundry. Like I remember going to a real estate conference and I'm with Keller Williams. So Gary Keller's founder of that. And he said,
Mhm.
like, I remember I was like brand new kid in school at real estate. And he was like, what is the one thing, like write down one thing right now that you despise doing that you don't want to do anymore. And I just remember thinking laundry. I was like,
Laundry
I
is
hate laundry.
horrible.
And then he was like, I want you to take a step to find leverage to remove that from your life. And I literally like found a lady that was looking for, like, she was a cleaning lady and she was looking for extra hours. And I was like, can you come do my laundry every other week? And she was like, yep. And I've never done laundry since. And that was like at 2012, like,
Yeah, it's
2013.
amazing. Yeah, my cleaning lady, I usually have her every like 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks, but I
Yeah.
keep the laundry going, but then I have
Yeah.
her put it all away.
Yeah.
Like it kind of builds up sometimes. I'm like, I can't
Sure.
stress about it. I'm not going to worry about it. And like you, if she comes every 2 weeks, I
Yeah.
don't know if it probably builds up at some point in time, but
Yeah.
I would rather spend that time with my kids and not stress and not putting laundry away. So, I mean, would I love her to come more often? Absolutely. But I just haven't
Yeah.
found anybody here locally that I trust that does such a good
Sure.
job. So like it's actually my cousin, but she drives an hour to come to my house to clean and do laundry. So I can only get her
Yeah,
here.
but in the country world though, because I grew up in the country for my whole
Yeah.
life, like until I moved to college, it's like they're grateful for the hours. They don't have a ton of job opportunity. It's different than it is unless you're like remote, right? It's different than it is
Right.
in like a city. So
Yeah.
like that's her world and she's probably
Yeah.
grateful for it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I know she's super busy, so she can only come on weekends. So it's
Mhm.
usually when we're going to be busy with kids' activities and me doing open houses. So she's super busy where she's at, but I know she takes the time to come all the way out here because all the other cleaning people that I've had won't do the laundry, which is fine. But if I'm going to pay somebody to come here, you may as well do
Yeah.
laundry, and I don't care what
Yeah.
it looks like and how it gets done. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's been a big game changer for me too. Like
Yeah.
laundry is something I absolutely despise. So
Yep. Yep. Yeah, totally.
yes, yeah. So, well, Rachel, what is if going back, like what is one piece of advice that you would give somebody who or even like your younger version or somebody who's just getting into the entrepreneurship world, especially a mompreneur? What is one piece of advice?
Um, I think like honestly, like journaling really helped me. Like self-reflection time and like writing out my feelings and getting out like my concerns and my anxieties. Like I'm just an anxious person. That's always how I've been. And so for me to like have a safe space that I could write out any feelings was really good. And then also like really being intentional with who I surround myself with. I think that having a really good network of people is really important. And I'm 40 and I just recently found a group of moms that are like faith-based, and we really connect with each other. And like, I mean, because I have had a lot of female friendships. And some of my closest female friendships don't live here. They're not local, and some of them I met through social, right? But like, I think having a supportive like network of friends that get what you're doing and don't judge you is really important, because I have these people I can talk to when I'm having a rough moment. So finding your tribe, finding your support system's really a key thing.
It really is. And I mean, they always say it takes a village. And I kind of lost my train of thought, but gosh, you said something and I was like, oh my gosh, yes, I need to go back to that.
My mother-in-law is so funny when I'll be like, well, someone will be like, it takes a village. She goes, it also takes a vineyard. Like, yeah, you're not wrong.
Well, that is true as well. That is true. Dang it. What was it that I was gonna say? I don't remember, but yeah, it definitely takes a village. And I have a group of women, and it's different when you're talking to like an entrepreneur versus somebody who is W-2, because they can definitely relate to what it is that you are doing. And they're not judging you based off of everything, that you have going on and decisions that you made. It's just completely different. It's completely different. So no, Rachel, so how can people get a hold of you, or where can they find you?
Yeah, so I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. You can find me under Rachel Adams Lee. I have all kinds of like my YouTube channel. I do free coaching on there. And Instagram, I'm always jamming and doing all the things. So you can find me, and I'd love to connect. And I'm grateful for your time today. Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you so much, Rachel. Well, you have a wonderful, blessed day. Oh, I know what I was going to say. You said something about your faith-based group of women. So that actually is what attracted to me with my sponsor with EXP is his 5 core values are faith, health, relationship, business, and finances. Beautiful. And so the 3 main things are obviously faith, health, and your relationships, and that's the foundation in order for your business and your finances to be a success. And I would say that that's probably been the biggest trajectory change for me within the last 2 years, is really putting more emphasis on my faith and then also in my relationship. So that's what I was going to say is it is so important. And
it is.
I don't know, it's been a game changer for me. It really has. And you don't want to like get close to God because you want this, like you don't do this to get that. That's not what that's about. It's like, how can I get
But I think for some people, that is how their journey starts. They pray because they need something. They pray because they're scared. They pray because that's how mine started. Like, and then you realize there's like peace in just prayer. And then you're like, maybe I could just do this part of my day for no reason. And then like, and I will tell you, there's nothing cuter than praying with your kids. Like my kids are like, thank you, God, for Bluey. Thank you, God, for my blanket. Like, it's just like the cutest thing ever.
For my blanket. It is cute. I know, like just thanking God for my family. I know. And I asked, have you ever seen the video? And I asked my daughter the other day, I said, if you could eat, we were eating lunch together. I said, if you could eat with anybody in the entire world, who would it be? You.
Oh, baby.
Oh, she loves like Taylor Swift, so I was like, okay, well, she's going to say that, but she's like, you. And I said, well, we're eating together now. She's like, I know, but if I could just eat with you all the time, I would. And she's 9, going to be 10. So I just thought that was super sweet.
Keep that up when you're 16, sweetie.
Yeah. We're going to revisit this in about 6 years. So, but no, I appreciate it, Rachel. Thank you for being here. I know you're super busy. So thank you so much.
I'm off to the gym.
Yes.
All right. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.
And that wraps up another inspiring episode of the Real Moms Podcast. A huge thank you to our incredible guests for sharing their story and insights today. If you found value in today's conversation, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And hey, sharing is caring, right? Share this podcast with your fellow mompreneurs, friends, and anyone who you feel could use a dose of inspiration. Share it on your social media as well. But most importantly, if you found this episode helpful, please, please, please leave me a 5-star review. This helps get our information out to those who have never heard or seen us before. Are you feeling inspired and you're sure that you could add some value to the podcast? Shoot me a message and let's talk. We love hearing from you. So connect with us on social media. Tag me at Shay J Spitz. That's ShaeJSpitz. And share your thoughts and takeaways, or even suggest topics you'd like to have us explore more in the future episodes. Remember, you're not alone on this journey. Your resilience is your strength, and your pursuit of abundant living is truly remarkable. As always, keep thriving, keep growing, and keep embracing the beautiful chaos of being a mompreneur. Until next time, take care, stay real, and keep living abundantly.